Hey everybody, Alex from Android Central here, and today we're going to take a look at the HTC One V. This is an entry-level device in the HTC One series, and it's sporting a familiar design. We've got this chin down the bottom here. Looks an awful lot like the old HTC Legend, which is very cool. So this is HTC's new budget device, and as you'd expect, it's a little smaller than the other two. It's got a 3.7 inch screen, and if you compare it to the One S and the One X here, we'll see it's a bit smaller and a little bit chunkier. So we've got it carved out of a single piece of metal though, which feels really great in the hand, and it's got a nice matte finish to it as well. Taking a closer look at the device, you've got all the usual buttons in all the usual places, 3 capacitive Android buttons down at the bottom here, power and headphone jack up top, volume rocker on the right, and micro USB on the left. Around the back you've got this 5 megapixel HTC ImageSense camera. I'll be testing that in the course of the review. And if you want to swap out SIMs or micro SD cards, you can do that by snapping this bottom area off, and you've got ports down there for that. No removable battery though, unfortunately, so we are seeing a general trend away from that kind of thing though. Powering on the One V, you'll see we're running HTC Sense 4, the new version of Sense, on top of Ice Cream Sandwich, and you've got the familiar Sense lock screen here, so we can pull an app into the Ring, jump right into it, or just pull the Ring out to unlock normally. And this might seem like the same Sense we've seen running on the One X and the One S, but certain things have been cut from the Sense on the One V on account of the more basic hardware, and this thing's running a 1 GHz single core chip with 512 megs of RAM, so there's not quite as much horsepower on offer. Flipping through the Sense launcher, you can see we've only got 5 home screens here, down from the usual 7, and there are no fancy 3D effects when we scroll either. We've mostly got the full complement of Sense widgets to customize them though, so taking a look down the list here, still plenty of ways to personalize the phone. So there's nothing too extravagant in terms of hardware and software on here, but it's still a solid entry-level device. Our only real complaint has to do with the amount of storage space on offer, and if we jump into the settings and look at storage, you'll see there's just under a gig of app storage and only 95 megs of media storage on the phone, which just seems really stingy. So you'll definitely want to stick an SD card in here if you plan on loading this phone up with music or videos or apps. Speaking of apps, if we look in the app drawer, we'll see the usual selection of preloaded Sense stuff. Most of the Sense 4 apps have made it across. You've got Gallery, Calendar, Friend Feed, and all that good stuff. A couple of third-party apps in there too, SoundHound and Dropbox preloaded. We've also got the classic HTC Sense weather app, works just the same as we've seen before, but we've lost a bit of eye candy compared to other HTC One phones. So we see we've just got this smaller weather icon here rather than the full screen animations that we've seen in other phones. And it's a similar story in the personalization area. As you'll see here, we've got no live wallpapers, just the usual static kind, and we've got a more limited selection of lock screen customizations. Probably the most impressive feature of the One V is the camera. It's way better than most entry-level phone cameras, and it even puts the Galaxy Nexus to shame. And if we hop into the camera app, we'll see the same options on the other two HTC One phones, like continuous shooting, various real-time effects. Capture speeds are still really quick, and the One V will take stills up to 5 megapixels and shoot video up to 720p, so not quite as much as the other two HTC One phones, but you wouldn't expect 1080 on a budget device. Really impressive stills though, and we've included a few on our hands-on post for you to take a look at. Anyway, that about does it for our first look at the HTC One V. We've got a hands-on post up now, and we'll have a full review in the days ahead. Thanks for watching.